How's your spirit? Let me make sure I don't have snack crumbs on my face. Do that thing, that YouTubian thing for me. I'm brightening my phone real quick. Man. So I told you we were going to do Mission Ready Monday, and we are. So let's talk about it. First of all, in case you are not aware, we'll start with the money thing. This is the fourth financial quarter. And I realize that people who haven't been in the business aspect of running a business or an organization don't quite understand that there's the fiscal year and then there's the year. So the year starts January to I feel like there's something on me. Good morning, Von Eric. My spirit's fantastic. How is yours? I hope, well, where you are, it's afternoon, so I do hope that your day has been going well thus far. And I hope you got my message about the marching band. I really do. I want to go. Every state that I go to, I want to at least get the HBCU, and if I can't get that and or one of the high school marching bands, especially in the Black community. I just want to put a shine on it all the time. You know what I mean? It's one of the things that I truly find amazing about us. You're just, whoops, hold on. There we go. We are musically minded. We come with a certain rhythm, a walk, and a talk about us that is truly Black culture that I think that people sometimes miss. Some people have a hard time appreciating it. I'm glad to hear it anytime. So in the last few weeks, there's been a pickup in visitors around this place because they are attempting to get funding. What happens in a lot of businesses is the first 3 quarters, they really are, working, managing the money, blah, 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 according to the budget. And then in the fourth quarter, you realize that you have a surplus and you're supposed to be at a zero budget, especially with a nonprofit, or you've got money on the books that's got to go somewhere. That tends to be donated or given to nonprofit organizations. One, it's an excellent tax write-off. Now, this also works for small businesses and people, yet that tends to start during the holiday season and roll through the first quarter of the next year. This is because you as an individual have to pay your taxes in April. So from like January to April, you have the opportunity to donate to nonprofit organizations and use that as a tax write-off. So for businesses, it's now. For people, it's the beginning of the year. Why it's not for businesses the beginning of the year or the end of the year is because November through like January, lots of staff are taking vacations. There are a whole ton of holidays and things going on that affect the ability to do retail, so to speak, to do business. Lots of banking holidays, lots of people out of their offices, so on and so forth. This is also true in the summertime, right? You think of it just like school. In the summertime, you're going to go away from your home and spend money elsewhere, usually at least out of the city, if not out of the state. So the fiscal year runs differently. It goes from October to the end of September. Your financial year goes from January to December. So you have an opportunity to do all of those things. I just got your email. And manage your money in that way. I'm someone, though, who believes in a zero budget. So even when it comes to my donations, I've already slated the money to go somewhere. Or I've at least put the money to the side so that when I'm ready to donate, it's already there. When I give, I give not anticipating anything in return. This is to include, I don't personally concern myself with receiving the tax credit that I could. Pardon me. Mostly because, as someone who is fully aware of financial responsibility, I am not going to give the government my tax money throughout the year. I take all of the deferments, or what's the word I'm looking for? Hey, good morning, Sister NH. How are you today? I hope your spirit is well. I am in a fantastic mood. Lately, I have found myself responding to people when they ask me how I'm doing. I say I'm fantastic, and I really am. I have let go of, remember, if you all remember, you've been with me for a while, so you know that I said there was a time in my life when I suffered from financial paralysis because my children's father was terrible with money, because I had helped so many people and not been able to take care of. Sister NH, if you do not behave, it is, listen, stay focused. I've made it my goal to make sure that I get as much of my money in my hands at every paycheck. It helps to not live paycheck to paycheck. When you're not giving your money to the IRS to have them do with whatever until, what is it? You don't start getting income tax returns until March, I believe. That's a lot of time for them to do other things with your money that you could be doing with your money. So when you fill out your paperwork, your I-9, your W-9, your W-4, whatever it is, when you fill those things out, you want to make sure that anywhere that it asks you, do you have a dependent? Do you have these things? That you are going ahead and saying yes to those things, because it puts your money, in your hands, in your pocket, instead of in the hands of the government and the IRS. So you do that consistently, and then you do a zero budget. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. You can figure out how to go ahead and pay your insurance for the entire year. You can pay for, that, and we'll talk about this for a minute real quick. You can pay for that Carowinds season pass in December when they go on sale. Now, I saw a video yesterday, folks at Carowinds, and one of the roller coasters is coming apart. And there are people on it, and you can see it shift. If you all don't know this about me, I have a love for theme parks. It is one of my favorite things to do from early spring until the beginning of summer. Then it gets too hot. When I first became a business owner and my husband was deployed, there was a year where we received a lot of money back in taxes, despite the things that I had done. So I took the family to Universal Studios for an entire week. I did not know that would make my husband feel some type of way. It caused an issue in our relationship, but our relationship was already on rocky terms. As I said, I am someone who is financially and fiscally savvy. I make it my mission to monitor my money at all times. No, you're okay. And monitoring your money means checking your bank account at least once a week, if not on a daily basis. Be sure that I taught my sons very early to make sure that they had a check register. Even if you are doing online banking, or you're trusting a financial institution, you should have a written ledger or some way of verifying that the money that you are moving is going to where it's supposed to. No extra money is going out, no extra money is coming in. And if for some reason money shows up, you should be able to account for it or backtrack and find out where it came from. Same thing if money leaves sooner than it's supposed to. This is one of those things that living paycheck to paycheck doesn't offer you, because you're constantly worried about making the hours, so that you can meet the minimal requirements: food, clothing, shelter. To get to the point where you can be, well, to get to the point where you can have generational wealth, you have to be able to manage and monitor your money better than that. So you have to do things differently. I told you, do different daily, and you'll get a different outcome. Eventually, you'll be disciplined. You have to be disciplined with your money. The, what's it called? Impulse purchases have to stop. So what I do is budget for my impulse purchases. I budget for I don't have it now yet. I used to do that thing, retail therapy, right? Where I would be upset or disappointed or something would happen, even a good thing, and I would go and spend money. Now, it was money that I had. Yet if my partner doesn't have money, can't meet the same metric, then it's going to put us in a financial situation. Thus, my financial paralysis. Now, through this last year and a half, I really had to work diligently on letting go of my fear of spending. Also on letting go of my fear of receiving. Because when you're married to someone and you receive funds, they are technically or can be entitled to some of that. So you have to be mindful of your means, where they're going, what's going on with your other person. And as you all know, I am estranged from my spouse. We also don't have anything financially tied to one another except for some taxes from 2013 that he was responsible for. Now, it's come to my attention that he lied, that he did not take care of those financial needs. And so the IRS tried to ding me for it. However, I had already done the smart thing. And way back in 2016 or 17, I filed what's called an injured spouse thing, which means that because my spouse wasn't doing right on his taxes with his pay, they were garnishing me in some ways, or they were going to, and it would be considered my fault, or I would be burdened by it. So filing an injured spouse status means that no, I have been doing the right thing, my partner hasn't, and please don't take it away from me. That's also, if you're someone who is married to someone who pays child support and they get behind on their child support, file injured spouse status immediately. Because you don't want them coming after your joint bank account for child support owed to some. Listen. I did not help you make the baby with that woman, and when she get in a mood, she gonna say, and so will your child. Well, you ain't my mama. You ain't his mama. You damn right. So don't make me pay for your seed. Now, if you're gonna respect me and my authority inside of the house that your husband, your ex, and I used to share, then we got a thing going on. But if you can't respect me, you damn sure can't have my money. Okay? That too. Before you go donating your money to someone, make sure that the morals and ideals of the organization align with your own, so that there is never a point in time when you're going to get a notice that the institution you've donated to is under investigation for money laundering, for mismanagement of funds, for whatever that thing may be. The last thing you want is to find out your good-hearted, good-intentioned, good-natured effort is being abused, mistreated. So that Mission Ready Monday was meant to be about that, managing yourself, your money, and your intentions towards the future. You have to have a plan. Even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, You have to have a plan for getting your way out of that situation and for what comes next. One of the things that I did not do was plan for what I was going to do after my children were adults. And the reason for that, which brings us to the other part of this discussion, was I had, in a way, mommy issues. Not in the sense that I didn't like my mother, which we'll talk about in a moment. Yet, more to the point, my mother passed of stomach cancer in 1996. I was almost 21 or about 21, and my mother was approximately 40, 41 years old. And that hit hard in my life. My mother was my role model, my example for a host of things. And because I looked so much like her and lived so much like her, I truly didn't think that I was going to make it past 43. So I didn't plan for anything past the moment that my fellas had graduated and started on their own masculine journey, so to speak. So you could call it a midlife crisis or whatever you want. Yet once I realized that I had outlived my mother, I also realized that I needed to determine what my life would be on the other side of things. That was 43, 44. By the time I'm 45, COVID hits and we're all going through this life upheaval. Thankfully, though, I had already come to the awareness of what it was I needed to do in order to achieve my own dreams or my own, on my own. I no longer have to worry about whether or not my sons have enough money, enough food, a place to sleep. I no longer have the concern of another person and how they're living. I don't have to take into account anyone else's goals or desires but my own, except for the things that I've told you when it comes to how you use your money. Now, to Sister Enach's messy question, I do not have a boo. I have met someone who enhances my happiness and my peace, and that's a nice thing. And the fact that he can pray with me is great. However, he comes with a whole lot of stuff that I don't even have on my plate. And I'm really good at managing my plate. You know what I mean? So I see it for the beauty and the wonder that it is, the blessing that God has put into my life. Yet, I don't bank on it and I don't bank on hope. I bank on faith and work. And I do both of those every damn day. Matriarch says, how long your emotional death of your mother lasts and did it affect your marriage? Yes. So the first 7 years of my marriage, I was pretty much depressed. I managed to make people, yet I pretty much showed up to be a wife and a mother. I didn't show up as Janine in the world. Matriarch. Listen, anyway, messy, sloppy, all over the place. Yes, Sister Enach, because you are a part of my favorite cabal, which is the messy cabal. Because what I understand it is, it's similar to me. I saw 11:11 right now. But anyway, it's similar to me in that I tell people all the time, I am controlled chaos. Okay, I will show up in your life and I will get under your skin in a very lovingly messy way. Because I want to see you smile. I enjoy seeing men get outside of themselves in a positive way, being more free, Black men frolic, that whole thing. I enjoy giving men compliments because you all don't get enough of them. I enjoy encouraging men to smile, to be more present in their lives and notice the little things around them. You guys, if you are not looking at the moon over the next few days, you are missing out on one of God's biggest blessings to us. Like, you got to think about it. God put that up there for us to see and witness all of the beauty and glory. We created our understanding of God because we couldn't understand how that thing exists. When you know and walk with and talk with God, you can see the beauty in all of it. So yes, amen to that, brother. I appreciate him. He's gotten me to be more willing to allow people into my space, though I'm still guarded about whom I let into my life, like whom I really share the most important things to me with. If you look at my community wall, it says there, you know, if you're someone who knows, if you had a father in your life who truly cared about you, when you bring home a man, he will eventually ask in some way, shape, form, or fashion, what are your intentions towards my daughter? Now, my father is 68 years old, and I pretty much don't bring him anything. You understand? One, because I cannot stand to hear him go, sweetie, with that deep sigh, because he's concerned. Two, because I believe that he is in a place in his life where he should be able to retreat from the world and relax. He gave 22 years of his life to the United States military, and then he went on to be a contractor for at least another 5 or 6. He's supposed to be retired and enjoying retirement. I love you too, Sister Inach. Enjoy your call. I appreciate you. She says, she ain't focused. You know what? She can't focus because of that doggone moon. You know, maybe we should get our funds together. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, one of the things that, truly broke my heart speaking to my father was the idea that I am a stepdaughter. He has one true child in this world, one child that he made along with my mother. And he doesn't feel that he hears from her enough. And I can be honest, before my mother passed, Von Eric, hush. Anyway, okay, Sister Inez, well, anyway. To be honest, my mother told me a similar thing just before her cancer diagnosis. She told me I didn't spend enough time around her and the family. Yet I was in my 20s. I was coming into my own, and I wanted to experience my own life, make my own choices and that kind of thing. So the Von Erich extension is not the moon, it's you too. And ooh, Sister Inage, what is up with you talking about sloppy? Listen, it's some little girls out here I done seen desperate to give somebody sloppy seconds, and that's a sad thing. That is I don't know what's worse. Just being outright thirsty for love, or so thirsty that you will take someone's leftovers. Either way, that is not the way to start your life, your day, or your journey. Young ladies, figure out who you are, your value and your worth. More of our men have than you all have. And I've said this before. It's because they have to show up in the world the way that they are. If you are one-legged with an eye patch as a dude, there ain't too much you can do about it. Ladies, if you are one-legged with an eye patch, you can put on a cute dress, you can put on some makeup, you can put on a wig, whatever it is, you can hide it. You catfish better than men do. It is bred into you. And that's the disappointment. That's why you got mommy issues. So when I show up on scene positive and happy in all things, and I tell you, you cannot knock me off my square, boo-boo, it's because I'm not your mama. And I will stomp a mud hole in you and her should you get in my way. It's not my job, nor anyone else's, to manage another woman's attitude. If I speak to you and you don't like the way that I spoke to you, you might want to check yourself before you come trying to check me. Why? Because we all have issues. We all have needs. We all want to be, well, that's not entirely true. Because the honest truth is, I spent my whole life being happy, being unseen, being behind the scenes. Yet in order to run for the presidency, I got to be out front. I had to lead by example in all things. And when you check my resume and my bona fides, you can see that. I am a leader of more than just myself or my children. I can lead men, I can lead mothers, I can lead marches. I can lead you to the promised land. Or I can backhand you. Because never forget, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, where the pimp hand reigns supreme. It's a joke, it is a joke, y'all. Calm down, calm down. Yet I've met more people who have some underlying issues with their mother in this place than I have in a very long time. And it comes out in the way that you deal with other women. You see other women as competition, it's because your mama didn't teach you something. We know most of you didn't have a father in your life, so you won't even go that route. Now, I am not the one who immediately blames men for not being present. That's a systemic effort and remains so. Child support issues. You see, here's the thing. You can leave a man and not force him to leave his children. That's a you thing, not a him thing, not a system thing, not a children thing. He made you so angry. He didn't want you anymore. For whatever reason, it did not work out between you and him. That has nothing to do with that. Yes, I believe that if he will not pay on his own, you should go to the courts. Also, though, I have told several men, if you made a baby mama out of somebody you weren't willing to wife, go down there and put yourself on child support so she won't take your life from you. Because when you don't pay your child support, what do? They take your driver's license, they take your means of making money, and if you make money, they take your money away from you. And too many of you believe that money is the mission. It's not. It's the means to the mission, right? Because we live here, where money reigns supreme. However, remember, God don't move on money, and the world can't move on money alone. So back to what I said about your attitude problem. You need to check your attitude at the door. Backhand, pen, where this convo go? She did not do a Jedi mind trick on me. If you know me, you know I am going to give it to you in plain English, in something that every man can understand. Because when you use your 25-cent words and your $1 million attitude, you can overlook somebody. Someone may not get your message. But when I say my pimp hand is strong, what'd you say now? Said something about pimping? Then we can have a conversation. I can tell you how to pimp positivity all the way into a paycheck instead of a pipe dream. See what I mean? I'm good like that. Thanks to my mother. She told me at an early age, you'll need to be able to speak to anyone, anywhere. Whether it's the street corner or the bedroom or the boardroom. You'll need to be able to communicate in ways that they can understand you. And you see, in this place, they are used to communicating with addicts. Those who have somehow lost their self-worth or their way or lack self-esteem. That ain't me. So when I communicate with you, I communicate like the manager that I am. And I am not in the middle, baby. I am C-suite level executive out this. And if you don't know, now you know. And if you do not know what C-suite means, go look it up. CEO, COO, CFO. That is who I be. That is what I am capable of doing. And your inability to see that in me because of my current circumstance does not make it my problem. I will help you to understand who I am, how I move, and how to go about gaining the respect that I give. Now, I'm different. I give respect freely until you give me a reason to snatch it away from you. And when I snatch, oh honey, there is no comeback. You can miss me with a clap back. I will slap you like a thunderclap. You don't want to do that. I'm not the one to play with. So, you have mommy issues and you're moody on a Monday, you better go find somewhere else to stay. And if nothing else, stay out of my way and in your own lane. People have a hard time with that. I understand that. It's difficult to be an adult in 2023, mainly because your parents didn't teach you how to. They didn't give you responsibility. They didn't give you authority or agency over any part of your life. So here you are, just finding it in your early to mid 20s. Or, Jesus Father, some of you are just finding it in your 40s and 50s. Your own voice, your own value, your own desires in the world. See, even though I told you I didn't anticipate being here past 43, I anticipated being here for at least 43 years. So I planned my life accordingly. At 16, I knew I wanted to be a mother. That meant that I would have to get married. I knew I wanted to marry early so that I could still relate to my children and their innocence and protect it without destroying them in the process. So I married early. I knew that I wanted to remain with the military. My father told me at 18 I didn't have enough discipline to join the military. And I was like, well, you're the one who raised me. You're the one who spanked me. So perhaps you're right about that. My mother was the one who told me to marry my husband. And she didn't know some of the things behind the scenes. And more importantly, I really believe that she just saw in him some of the things that she wishes she had seen in the men that came before my I'm married in my early 20s so that I would, by the time I was 50, I would be able to do what I wanted to do then, which was own an RV and travel around the country, bouncing my grandbabies on my knee, going on my merry way. Now, between the time of motherhood and the time that I would reach 50, I knew that there were some things that I needed to do, not just for me, but for my sons, my children, so that they could see what it is to be a woman, a mother, a matriarch. So, when my children all reached school age, I went back to school. That's when I began going to college. First, I went to get my associates in early childhood education. I ran a daycare. I ran a daycare so that I could stay at home with my children as long as possible. Once they were all of the age that they were going to be going off to middle school or higher, that is when I went to college again. It just so happens that something came along the way, a military move, where I had to change career paths or degree paths. And then I decided to begin to focus on me and my dreams. By then, my marriage was already in a shambles. He had cheated, made babies, given STDs, all kinds of things, right? So I had the gastric bypass surgery. And then I went to culinary school. That was my dream since a very small girl. Since I saw Justin in the kitchen with the Cajun cuisine and Yan can cook, I was hooked. So, one of the things that stunted my growth earlier on is my mother's passing created a vacuum, a void. There was no longer a woman that I could look to and see myself in. My mother-in-law, though she's a Libra as well, is a demon spawn. We went to visit her the Christmas after my mother passed, and that hateful woman reached out to my child and said, "Come to your only grandmother." That was like a blow to everything. I had to come back from that. I sought out her counsel once, and she told me that I would be wasting money if I went to culinary school. This was when I was in my 20s, and it would have only cost me $20,000. It would take another 15, 16 years. And I'd go to culinary school and graduate with honors. Oh yeah. I rubbed it in her face, in her son's face, and anyone who ever doubted me. Oh, Von Erich, when I was in culinary school, I was floating. It didn't matter. It didn't matter the workload. You got to remember, I was still taking care of my sons. I was working full time. I was going to school full time. While I was in culinary school, I was a resident advisor. I was a teacher's assistant. I did my internship at a local independent restaurant and got paid for it. And then I went to see my sons. Now, the first 2 years of culinary school, the first year and a half, I drove back and forth from Fayetteville, North Carolina to Durham, North Carolina. And then in the second 2 years, because I did 3.5, in the second 2 years, I took up residence in Durham, North Carolina. Now, a relationship issue caused that, or I would have continued to go back and forth. You understand, though, I had spent more than 12, 13 years at home every day with my sons, and their father had no relationship with them. So when I went to stay in Durham, I made it, okay, listen, you are not deploying now. You're close to your retirement. So you're going to take care of the fellows. I'll come back and visit y'all. You can see what it feels like. You see, I was Lilith to his Adam. And that fat chick he with now, she ain't nothing but a dusty Eve to me. So, good riddance to both of them. You understand? So, when I tell you that my sons are now men and we don't speak that often, my children told me a long time ago, "Mommy, it's not you, it's me. I am on my journey to be me. You were a great mother. You did right by me. So have no worry." And I do not. My youngest is much like my father would be. And so when it comes to that question, what are your intentions towards me? It'll come from him one day. He doesn't want to see any of the things that happened inside of my marriage or afterwards happen again in my life, because he knows the toll that it took on me. Not just financially or mentally, even spiritually. You can't stop someone's blessings. You can block them for a time. And it's not even you blocking them. It's them allowing you to do things that put obstacles in their way. So I have removed all the barriers and obstacles. That includes my siblings who used to use my mother against me. You see, they would want something, need something, think I should move a different way. And they would say, well, mama would want this, mama would want that. Baby doll, mama has been dead for 28 years. You have no idea what mama would want today. As a result, I'm gonna need you to get out of my way and let me move the way that I need to. Mama used to say, I ain't gotta like you to love you. And as I've grown as a matriarch in my own right, I've learned to love you from a distance. It's the beauty of being someone who knows God and prays. I can pray that God take you away, and that's the wrong thing. Yet I can also pray that God will take me out of your way, or you out of mine, so that we can achieve our destiny. That's the main thing. I was speaking to someone last night, and I was saying, we signed a contract with God before we were born. I'm gonna go down here on this planet, pimping. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna check it out, okay? Right? And then God said, all right, you got this long. And as sure as we know that there are babies who are taken too soon, you know, you got 30 days. You got 43 years. You have a millennia, should you choose. Just remember, you've got work to do. And you've got to go through the experience of being born. We're being born again. We are energy, after all. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Energy, return to the universe. That's where you have a choice to make. You can transform, transcend, or transition. My mother, having stomach cancer, having held in her feelings for so many years, she chose to transition to a light being, spirit, and ancestor, so to speak. Me, I chose to transcend all of this, so that when I died last year, I had a choice. And I chose to return here to my people, to my children, not just the ones that I gave birth to, the ones who are like me, God's children, the ones He protected as small children in our darkest hour, when no one was watching us and terrible things were happening. For all of my love for my mother and my father, I remember what it is to be placed in the hands of someone else's authority, for them to abuse that power and abuse me in return. Putting my safety in jeopardy, my life, my well-being. To some extent, even my father. I remember hearing him from the other room many times. Your daughter's this, your daughters then. He made it clear that he understood that I wasn't his child. That he expected more from me because he didn't have to do the things that he was doing. I was just a child. I didn't see him as anything other than my father. Even at 11, when he told me that he wasn't my biological father. And 18, when I met what I used to call my sperm donor. Remember, I'm the child of a Scientologist. They don't raise their children. In fact, they don't see children as children. They see them as small adults and expect them to move accordingly. So certain things that you would see in other autistic people, or certain things that you would see in other Black women, or certain things that you would see in people in general, you won't see in me because they were literally beaten out of me. I was speaking to a young mother earlier. She was saying how being here was stressing her to the point where she was concerned she might be taking it out on her son. I remember that day. We're about 2 deployments deep in what would be about 6 to 7 deployments overall. And their father would call, yet he wouldn't call and speak to the fellas. He would call and speak to me. Their father put all of the weight of parenting on me. And that took its toll on me. That was when I originally began smoking. What's that? I'll keep it up. I'll put you on camera as soon as I take them jeans off you. Their father came from one of those men who, planted seeds everywhere and just let them grow as wild as they could. In me, he had someone who would manage his seed, water it, feed it, nourish it, allow it to grow into amazing things. He took advantage of that because when it was time for me to need him to step up and be the father and man in their life, he didn't have the skills for it. He didn't have the means for it, whether we're talking financially or otherwise. He was built differently from me. And I recognize today the Most High had a plan in mind. Those 3 had to be born to him and I, for whatever reason. I see it now, though. I see the youngest, the one born behind the veil. He's a high-speed soldier out here, shall we say. They all went to JROTC for some moment. Did the oldest go? I have trouble remembering whether or not the oldest participated in JROTC. Forgive me. There's 4 years between the elder and the middle, and 2 years between the 2 younger. So they did that thing. They served their country in some way. But that youngest one, he did JROTC from 9th grade to the end of high school. Then he chose to join the military. So when he went in as an E3, I believe. Now, just 3 years in, he's an E4P, which means he will make sergeant in his first 4 to 5 years. His father, having done 20, retired as an E6. 1 rank higher than his son will be this year. He was born raised, and chose to be a better man than his father could ever be. He'll be present in his children's life because he knows what it is to have a mother who cares enough to show him what it is to be a wife. Hey, Cola. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. I think that's the best thing that we can do is share our stories. I know some of yours. I'm super amazed and proud of you. In case nobody else ever told you. You're doing great things out here. I think it's time that we all stood up for that. You know what I mean? Being able to lead despite our femininity. Being able to hold on to your femininity while leading entire communities. It's a difficult thing. It is its own balancing act of sorts. Because when it's time to put your foot down, folks want to push back. And when you have to stand on your square and who you are, you have to use the power of your voice, your pen, and everything else. There are grown men who will attempt to defer you by using their boisterousness or being braggadocious or being overbearing to the point where they use their weight to bear down and push you around. Yet, I am not one of those ladies. So I'll leave you with one last story for today. When I went to work at Mid-Atlantic Christian University, I would go there as the food service director and be in assistance, or in essence, the food service director for a time at Elizabeth City State University. Now, one of the things was I had to do the hiring, of course. And two gentlemen already worked there before me. And the woman who had the position before me was this little white woman who was, white lady bossy, if you can understand what that means. She would threaten you with your paycheck and those things in order to get you to fall in line, to submit. I'm different. I'm going to put you in a position of authority. I'm going to give you responsibility. I'm going to give you all of the tools you need and all of the training necessary to get the job done. So that when you disappoint me, you know that the reason why I am coming to you is because you have disappointed me. When I am disappointed, I do not play. So on this particular day, I had told the gentleman that the way that they were used to moving wasn't okay. That was out on the line. Now, when we talk about kitchen manners, kitchen etiquette, and managing, I am not going to stand out there in front of all of the students and go off on you, okay? I am going to tell you what I expect. I expect you to say okay and get it done, and I'm going to walk away. This particular day, I walked off the line. I went back to my office. Now, what you have to understand is my office at Mid-Atlantic Christian University was basically an old closet with a door on either side, right? So there was a door to the dining room on the right and a door to the kitchen on the left. What did these men do? They came from both sides simultaneously, stood in the door, putting me in the corner, right? And if y'all know me, I'm an 80s baby. You don't put baby in the corner. Okay, but we gonna play it your way. I'm sitting in my chair, right, doing my work. I look up, and there are these two men, both of them over 6 feet tall, both of them over 215 pounds. Now, that could be intimidating to somebody other than me, right? So I listened to your complaints. I tell you what it is that I am capable of doing to meet your needs and requirements of this facility. And then I ask you to leave. Now, sit back. Because they came in, they come into the door frame on both sides and they walk up. So you're right there. So I wait a bit. I'll let you get comfortable thinking you done did some stuff. What do? Stand up. I take off my chef's jacket. I walk out the door to the kitchen. As I'm walking into the kitchen, I call them both by name. Gentlemen, meet me outside across the street. Now, we are no longer on Mid-Atlantic Christian University's property. We are no longer in uniform as a part of Thompson Hospitality. It's you and me on the street. And then I went ahead and laid it down for them. Gentlemen, do not test me. I am a Tennessee alley cat in waiting. Should you ever approach me again the way that you just did, I don't care where we are, what uniform I'm wearing, or what corporation I represent. I will snatch your testicles out your motherfucking throat. I don't know who you think you are. I don't know who it is you played this game with before, but I'm different out here. Try me. I didn't have any more problems after that. They were able to recognize me in all my beautiful feminine glory. I managed the hell out of that place. I changed the way that things were done. I got people to come in and eat fried chicken and fried fish on Wednesdays when they never had before. They had surveys that we had to have the students do. The surveys increased the positive results by at least 10 to 20% out here. Do you know what that is when we're talking about moving numbers and money? Honey, I reign supreme in all things because my Father's a king. Enjoy your spiritual walk, Matriarch. I appreciate you listening. Thank you for the email. I'll check it in a bit. Thank you to everyone who has listened to this live stream. Please make sure that you share it with your communities. Should you watch this on the replay, leave me a comment and let me know what you thought, what you think I can do differently. I can listen to criticism. I can take critique. I can adapt when necessary. I'm Army strong out here. Shout out to the United States military and all of the veterans who served this country knowing this country does not love or serve you. It is 11:37 in Tucson, and I have not received a confirmation on my work email yet, so I am gonna go inside. They're having chicken carbonara today, which is really something I'm not supposed to eat. Too much dairy, too much cheese, too much salty meat. Anyway, we'll see what we can do. This evening, I'll probably go out and do another live stream. I will post a notification. If you did not receive the notification, that means that you need to unsubscribe and then resubscribe to this channel. Make sure that you hit the little bell thingy and you say all, right? So that you get all of the content that I put out, not just the things that YouTube thinks that you'll like, because I do everything nice and smooth. Anyway, you guys, keep your spirit up. I'll see you in the streets. Deuces. I love you. The Father does too. And remember, we out here. Peace.